You made me a factual dependent. So on that basis, I can then be able to claim from your pension fund. In most instances, the pension fund trustees are going to say, let this continue, meaning that the baby mama, which is me, I need to get my share because this person had created this relationship in the first place. If, however, there are dependents, meaning I am there as a girlfriend and I come forward and I say, so and so is taking care of me, and I've got proof, possibilities that I, as a dependent, will get something even though there's no nomination for. Now, here's the thing about trust funds, Bonnie. When we divorce people, we lose a lot of things. We start sharing. The next thing, you've lost things that you've worked for.
I am seeing too much of story time on how Mang did me like this, on how Bani paid lobola for me when I was about to finish medical school.
Hi guys, welcome to the village. Today we are talking to an admitted attorney, Yolanda, who's here to talk to us about the Pension Funds Act, how we can protect our hard-earned cash. Should we pass away before cashing it, or should we go through a divorce? Okay. Also, we're gonna touch a bit on trust funds, because you know what, trust funds are not for rich people only. Okay, so we have to talk about these things, get some education. Now let's welcome Yolanda to the village.
Hi Yolanda, welcome back to the village.
Hi, Bonnie. Thank you for having me.
We are working so hard for this money, and we hope one day we can benefit from our pension funds and provident funds. So this is a very important discussion, right? First question I want to know is a baby mama or even baby daddy entitled to claim from my pension fund? Let's say we are no longer together. Are they entitled to claim from my pension fund?
So it depends, Bonnie. One,
Right?
are you still together? If you're not together, for example, is he sending you money, your baby daddy? Because remember, the Pension Funds Act says we are going to give people who were your dependents something from your pension fund if you die before you cash it. So if during your lifetime as a baby daddy, you were invested in taking care of me as a baby mama in addition to the child, I'm entitled to claim because now you have made me your dependent. Because you can't just send me directly money for my own upkeep and then I don't get anything. I'm your dependent. So in that instance, baby mamas can end up claiming, same as baby daddies, right? So if you're looking out for me, making sure that I'm okay financially, I can be able to claim as a baby mama.
Okay, so we don't need to be married for me to be able to claim from your pension fund, basically, if you pass away.
Not necessarily. So when we look at the Pension Funds Act, it talks about
Right.
dependents. Now, this dependency relationship is not necessarily something that's dependent on me being married to you, because we've got different types of dependents, right? For example, if we are not married, it means you don't have an obligation to take care of me. So I am most likely going to be a factual dependent, meaning that you created a dependency relationship between you and I by providing for me financially. For example, every month I knew that I got money for my upkeep from you. You made me a factual dependent. So on that basis, I can then be able to claim from your pension fund because now I'm going to lose something that was aiding, my life. You were protecting my financial interest here. So because of that, I can be able then to claim from your pension fund if I can prove this.
Okay. So this is like separate. This is just me as a baby mama or a baby daddy. It's separate from the child. The child can claim like separately, right? Is that correct?
That is very correct. That's very correct. For example,
Mm-hmm.
you as a dad, you are legally obligated to take care of the child. So automatically that child has a
Right.
right to claim from your pension fund. But now, if you decide that in addition, during your lifetime, you're going to take care of me as well, then it means that you had also created a dependent out of me. I'm now your factual dependent. So that both of us, your child, who's a legal dependent, and me, who's a
Mhm.
factual dependent, both of us can be able to claim from your pension fund.
Mm. Okay, so factual dependent, right? Can you explain, Wuti, at what point, like, does someone become a factual dependent right now, right? Because someone might say, Aibo, sometimes I was giving you money, but some months I was not giving you money, or I was even e-walleting it. I was not making a direct deposit. You know what I mean? So, sifike kanjani lana kwi-factual?
So remember, you are not obligated to take care of me, right? Because I'm probably just your baby mama or your girlfriend. But then you decide out of your own
Mhm.
accord that no, man, every month I'm going to be supporting Yolanda with something. She's my baby mama. She
Mhm.
probably, she's not working. So you keep on sending me a
Right.
thousand. Take care of yourself. Take care of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when you're giving me that money,
Mm.
I become dependent on it. It's supporting me and taking care of my financial needs. Right. And as you do this over time, you've created this, I'm relying on these funds and I'm expecting to get something and it's aiding me. So once you start doing that, you are
Mm.
creating a level of dependency here. And remember, the people who are going to be looking into this relationship after your death is going to be the pension fund trustees. And they're solely going to look at what was this person doing during his lifetime. He was busy sending money to Yolanda for her upkeep, telling Yolanda, take care of this, go to the doctor, go do this. So in essence, what they'll be seeing is, oh, this one intended to take care of this person. Out of their
Mm.
own accord, they had this obligation. They created this obligation for themselves to take care of this person. And so, on that basis, in most instances, the pension fund trustees are going to say, let this continue. Meaning that the baby mama, which is me, I need to get my share
Mm.
because this person had created this relationship in the first place. Now, the evidence that is utilized by the pension fund trustees, it doesn't matter what it is. What's important is that the person
Okay.
must be able to prove. So even if you were not sending me a direct deposit, if I can show somehow that you were taking care of me financially, that proof is going to be considered. And then the pension fund trustees are going to determine, whether I'm entitled to get something out of this pension fund. And if so,
Mm.
in what percentage am I meant to get something here?
Yolanda, before we proceed, because I don't want people to panic. I don't want people to panic. Two things. I know you can nominate people, right? There's a nomination form and you can nominate people. So I want us to get into that, right? Talk more on that, right? Because I don't want people to panic. Also, I just want to understand, I know some people who are watching this video, they don't have pension funds, but they have provident funds. So I just want to understand, are these rules the same or they're different between these two fund? Is it different from the provident fund and the pension fund?
So they are dealt with relatively the same, right? If you pass away and you leave a provident fund, the claims process is the same. The people that are able to get that benefit are considered in the same manner as any other person who's left a pension fund. We look at Section 37C. And we talked about what Section 37C looks into. They look at the people who are dependent on you. They will also consider the people
Okay.
that you did nominate. Yeah, but they're dealt with relatively the same.
Mm, okay. And then what if there was no form? What happens if maybe you didn't like fill in the form? What happens in that case?
The nomination form, that is.
The nomination form, yes.
Okay. So there's a step-by-step process. First and foremost,
Okay.
37C says we need to find dependents, whether factual or legal. So we open up for these people to come forward to claim. So if these
Mhm.
people non-existent, normally we'll also have a look at the nomination form. So if
Mhm.
there's still no one in the nomination form, we also don't have dependents coming forward, then what normally happens is that it will move to your estate. So, which means that
Mhm.
those funds you've left behind will go directly into your estate and they will have to be inherited from the estate. If, however, there are dependents, meaning I am there as a girlfriend and I come forward and I say, so and so is taking care of me, and I've got proof, possibilities that I, as a dependent, will get something even though there's no nomination for. You see.
Oh, okay. So Yolanda, I understand there is a will and then there is a nomination form. So does a nomination form override a will?
Okay. So pension funds, right? Unlike any other
Mhm.
thing that you own, is dealt with as per the Pension Funds Act. And according to the Act, it does not form part of your estate. That's why you have to draft a nomination form. So the nomination form is the most important thing. So a will only come
Okay.
into play if we don't have a nomination form and we also do not have dependents coming forward. Then that's when they take the money that you've left behind and then take it to your estate. Then the will can come into operation and deal with those funds.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. No, I understand. Okay, so my next question will be, let's say your ex-spouse is still listed, right? In your nomination form. Can they be excluded now? But they are not your spouse anymore, but they are still listed. Because you know, sometimes people don't update these things, guys. These things happen. So I have to ask because these things happen, you know. What happens? So I was married to you, you didn't update your nomination form, and yeah, so ziyakhala ke manje.
Bonnie, here's the thing. The nomination form plays an important part when it comes to this distribution of this pension fund. So if this person had listed me here, irrespective of the fact that we have now separated, I can still get what is due to me because I have been listed. As someone who's listed, I'm at a very good opportunity of getting part of that pension fund of yours, irrespective of the relationship, because you are expected in terms of the law to fix your affairs, right? And so if you now decided not to remove me from your pension fund nomination form, they are going to have to call me, the pension fund trustees, and I will have to also put in my claim. And I'm most likely going to get something. Obviously, it might not be the 50% that I probably would have gotten if I was married to you, but I'm most
Mhm.
likely going to get a share out of this pension. And that normally gets people very angry, the families of the deceased very angry. But again, the person had enough time to change and to take care of their affairs, but they didn't. So because of that, I'm now benefiting, and I definitely would go for that as someone who was married to this person.
People like abantu abasaba ukubulawa, mina nje ngingasaba ukubulawa abantu, like abantu bangenele endlini. You know how it can be. Like people, they can be so mad. Guys, mina ngiyigwala. Like, let me tell you something. One thing about me, mina ngiyigwala. Yo, ngiyasaba. Like abantu abasaba ukubulawa. Which brings me to my next question, Yolanda. How often should we update this nomination form?
So when things change in your life, in particular your relationships change, you must update your nomination form. If you now are no longer on good terms with me and I was there, that should be the first thing that comes into your mind. It's just like a will. First thing that comes into your mind should be, I need to update my affairs, because in most instances, when we have good relationships with people, we will include them in these things. We want them to benefit. We've got their best interests at heart. So now when these relationships change, you need to go back to your affairs and be like, I need to now look into these things. Because pensions are most likely dependent on the kind of relationship that you have with people more than anything, right? Also, another important thing to consider, or when to change your nomination form, is when you give birth to more children. It's very important,
Okay.
because one, you want to provide for them. Also, even if you don't want to provide for them, they are most likely going to be able to claim from your pension because you are legally obligated to take care of them. So, just to make sure that things are determined by you, just write them down on the nomination form so that they can get what is due to them, because either way, they're going to be able to claim. So, when these types of things happen in your life, these immense changes, go back to your things and update them. Make sure that they are still in accordance. They are exactly how you want them to be.
Yo, you don't want to be caught off guard. You don't want to be caught off guard.
Yeah.
Guys, please don't forget to like and share this video. I know we have a lot of questions for Yolanda. And this is okay. I know this one, that the next question is not about estate planning and stuff. It's more about marriage, which I think it could be a separate video. You guys can let us know if you like a video on this. But there's this question that is trending. You know, these days, I'm sure as an attorney yourself, you see this all the time. People asking, you know, if I'm getting a divorce, does it mean if I'm divorcing someone and we're married in community of property, does it mean they need to take my pension as well, 50% of it? Is that true or false?
That's very true. If you are married in community of property. So remember, the people married in community of property, what they're essentially saying when they get married in terms of the type of marriage is that they're gonna share everything, whether they've built it now during this marriage or they came with it in the marriage. They're saying we're going to share every interest, every asset, every debt we have. So if I'm coming to this marriage with a 20-year pension fund and my husband happens to not have a pension fund, it matters not. Me and him have an equal interest in that pension fund. So if we were to divorce tomorrow, he would be entitled to 50% of that pension fund. If I'm saying no, they shouldn't get it, I'm going to have to work hard to prove to the courts that he shouldn't get it on what basis, because automatically my spouse shares in every interest that I have. So they will get something if I've married them in community of
Okay.
property.
Is it possible, like, can people, like, between the two of you just decide, "Good, you know what? We are going our separate ways. It's all good. I don't want you to touch your pension fund." You know, like, can the courts not force us to separate this, or we can just carry on if we agree between the two of us and we call you Yolanda, Abe witness, we draft something good to know, as part of the settlement, we are not going to touch our pension funds. Is that possible?
Very possible. Very possible.
Okay.
So at divorce, you guys can decide to say, you know what, maybe what you have, you built, it's fine, you can take it. As long as you guys are in agreement, that can happen. So the both of you can still decide differently and then part ways with each other.
Which is very unlikely. Guys, please. The reason I called you Yolanda, I am seeing too much of story time on how Mang did me like this, on how Bani paid Lobola for me when I was about to finish medical school. Guys, you need to be awake. Both, I just don't mean for girls on, even for boys as well. I have a boy, you know, I have a son as well, you know. So I'm not just talking about girls only, but because we take you to school, like your parents took you to school as well, you know. And then now, someone, by the time you finish university, says, "Oh, global." Next thing, within 10 years, they are running away with your parents. Guys, please don't forget to like and share this video. Leave any questions you might have for Yolanda. I know we just started. Yolanda, tell me, something just came to my mind. What if I'm a girlfriend, you are maintaining me, and then now you've passed on? I'm a girlfriend and you are married. What happens there?
So it's the same situation. Remember what Section 37C says. We're looking at dependence here. If you are taking care of me financially, possibilities that now I'm your factual dependent. So by law, I need to get something. There's a case in particular that we dealt with along these lines, where we had a deceased person who had a pension fund. This deceased did have a wife, did have children, but also had a girlfriend. And the girlfriend also had her own child who was not that of the deceased. But because this man had made sure that these people are comfortable, took care of them, baby mama and her child throughout his lifetime, the pension fund trustee said they needed to get something here because this guy obligated himself. He created a dependency relationship. And on that basis, they ended up getting a bit more than the other parties who were the children, biological children of the deceased. So we're not going to be looking at, in fact, the pension fund trustees are not looking at relationship only. They're looking at your actions. You were taking care of Yolanda throughout. You send her money. You make sure she goes to the doctor, and you are doing this religiously. What you're saying and the impression you're painting, they are your dependents, and you intend to take care of them. So on that basis, girlfriend can be able to claim.
Yo, guys, so you see why you shouldn't have side chicks. Get your life straight. So, Yolanda, I want us now to go to solutions because we need to prohibit phela abantu bazosdabela kwi-pension fund yethu if they are not nominated. How can we do that?
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. We said, in order for people to get something from your pension, it's either they're going to be your legal dependents, right? Which means that you are legally obligated to take care of them. We also said the other type of people that can be able to claim are people that you decided to take care of, and you were doing so religiously. So if these people are not on your nomination form and you do not want them to get anything, i.e., factual dependence, I'm your girlfriend, you are going to stop giving me money to take care of me. You're going to stop religiously taking care of my affairs. You're going to stop providing for me. That is the only way. Because otherwise, so long as you provide for me, as much as you are, you love me, you want to take care of my interests, at the end of the day, because you're going to provide for me during your lifetime, and religiously so, it's going to create a relationship of dependency, unfortunately, meaning that I can be able to claim from your pension. So it means that you're going to have to stop trying to look out for people, which is very difficult because sometimes it's our parents. We religiously send money to them on a month to month basis because we want to support them. Unfortunately, by doing that, you are adding them, tacitly so, as part of the people who can come forward to claim. So if you don't want them to claim, unfortunately, you'll stop doing those things. You're going to stop providing for them. That is the only way that you have, unfortunately.
Yo. Okay. And then, okay. So, Yolanda, I just want to understand, is it guaranteed that if you are married in community of property to someone, you are entitled to 50% of their pension fund should they pass away? And you are there, you are nominated, it was all good, there's no drama, you are married, but this person had a lot of like dependents, he had maybe five kids out of the marriage. Is it possible that you'll still get 50% even though this person had other dependents?
It gets a bit tricky, right? Because here's the thing, the pension fund trustees consider a number of things before they make final decisions about percentages. Obviously, they're taking into account that this person was married in community of property with the deceased. They will also consider the fact that this person was nominated. But also, it becomes a bit tricky in some instances when, for example, there's a lot of minor children, right? You can imagine, let's say the deceased had
Okay.
more than 4 children, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
pension fund, and then probably there's other people, brothers or sisters, whatever the case is. It becomes difficult at times to give the surviving spouse exactly that 50% because we have to look at all of the competing interests here. One, this deceased was responsible for providing for these children, right? So that's a legal obligation.
Mm-hmm.
Now that he's gone, these kids need to be secured in terms of being provided for somehow, and the pension fund that they have left behind is instrumental, right? And the spouse as well. They're going to look at how old are they. Sometimes they ask the questions of, is it possible for them to continue to work for themselves? Because these are also things that they consider. So at times, it's not
Mm.
necessarily guaranteed because also we're looking at the number of people that need to benefit here. How old are these people? Then the trustees will look at all of those surrounding circumstances and then make a decision. There are instances where you'll find that the spouse will get less than 50% because the situation,
Okay.
right? We need to make sure that the kids are also taken care of and
Mm.
other people. So it may get to a point where the trustees can't give you the 50%. Obviously, when a decision is made in this instance, you have, if you feel disgruntled or you feel that the way in which everything was distributed was not fair, you do have the ability to revert back and appeal that decision. Again, unfortunately, it's not cast in stone that you're going to get 50%. The trustees have to consider a number of things. So you can get much less in some instances.
Mm. Okay. That's good to know. What is the waiting period, Yolanda? Because this person might pass away now, like it's July. Can we wait for 6 months or a year or 3? Like typically, what is the waiting period?
So typically it's 1 year. So during that year, the application or people are given the opportunity to come forward. So it must at least lie
Mm-hmm.
open for a year so that people who find out later that the deceased has passed away, etc., can be able to also come forward and make their claims. So you're most likely, or the people that are meant to benefit from a pension fund are most likely to get something only after a year it has lied open.
Mm. Okay. Someone left a question, a villager left a question about trust funds because you know what, um, that's a topic for another video, obviously. But you know what? Can you just let us know what's the Indiama Trust Fund is not just for rich people, you know, because we tend to think, I know those things, uh, they are for rich people, you know. Can you just share a bit about that with us? But guys, let us know in the comments if you like Yolanda to dive in more into that, and also about Sindaba Yemshado. Yeah, those are sensitive matters. Those are really like sensitive matters. And I know even with this one, with the pension funds, estate planning, there is just so much to discuss, guys. And Yolanda will be coming back, you know. But just tell us briefly, Yolanda, about Zindabema Trust Funds. Just for us, about, I don't want to say lower class. That person said lower and middle class. Just ordinary people, you know.
Okay, so Yabona, this one of ordinary people, very important because majority of people still believe that trusts are very expensive. They are not meant to have them. They are for the rich. Now, here's the thing about
Mm-hmm.
trust funds, Bonnie. Okokuqala nje, they are great entities if you want to save your family wealth or to preserve it. As you've seen, when we divorce people, we lose a lot of things. We start sharing. The next thing, you've lost things that you've worked for a long period of time. But if you had decided to register something as a trust, you could have placed, i.e., a home of yours that you never want to lose in this entity. And here's the thing. when you have paid to move this property into this entity, you are not going to pay for the sole existence of this entity. And in addition, you are not going to pay for the sole existence of that property in that entity. In fact, in most instances, the only thing you're obligated to do when you have a trust is to just inform SARS on a yearly basis that in this trust, I've got no money. So there's nothing for you to tax. But I'm just informing you that it's still in existence and it's currently housing property of mine. And you are not going to pay a cent towards any tax. So people often say, it's very expensive. And I'm like, hold on one second. How is it expensive? Right? Because, i.e., people will say the tax is very expensive. Remember what triggers tax? It's income. You
Right.
want to save
Yes,
a
income.
property. Exactly. You want to save your house. You want it to exist. You don't want a situation where you divorce, the next thing you have to start all over trying to buy a new house. You've already got a house. You've paid for it fully. You want to save it from anything, from creditors, whatever the case is. If you have a house sitting there, you're not going to be paying tax. That house is not making money. So no tax is being triggered. There's nothing that's meant to be expensive. But I think, you know what, with everything or information floating around, people often get scared by a lot of the things that they hear. But I always say verify, get
Yeah.
particular information about these things, because a trust is a tool that is meant to be used by any person. You do not need to have millions of rands to have a trust. Yep.
Okay. I'm going to leave Yolanda's contact details, guys, in the pinned comment and also in the description box. I know you and I have a lot of things to talk about, but I think most things will come from your questions, guys, like the questions that you are going to leave for Yolanda. But what I learned from this is abantu abaphila inkosam impilo eziqondile. You know, let's have ama-affairs ethu asiwabeke kanje, guys. Singalokho sishona le nale. You know what just happened with that guy, that astronomer CEO? That divorce is going to be very expensive. It's going to be very expensive. You know, Yolanda, I know we're not talking about marriages, but does a cheating count? Like if you go, like let's say people are going through a divorce, ukuthi bani cheated, is the court going to be more sympathetic towards the one that was being cheated on in terms of what you're going to get out of this settlement?
Well, cheating is not necessarily going to play a big role when it comes to the distribution of the assets or the sharing of the assets, right? For example, you can't say because he cheated, I must get 60%. That's not how it works. At best, normally it helps when it comes to looking at the reason why maybe the marriage broke down. And let's say you don't want them to get the full 50%. Also, cheating alone is not the only consideration, because they're going to have to look at, did this person actually, play part in this marriage? Were they here? Because other people can cheat but be fully present, and providing in that marriage. So you cannot just say on the basis of, no, but I cheat, that's why I think I need to get more. Unfortunately, that's not really going to fly with the South African courts. But yeah, cheating, yeah, it's a destroyer of marriages.
Bye, Yolanda.
I'll see you. Bye-bye.
We'll see you soon.
Okay guys, we've come to the end of this video. What I got from this conversation is, I guess pili pili qondile, guys. Okay, let's always be and forget about, you know what I mean. Please like, share the video with someone that might need it, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.